it going? Welcome to the Southern Trust. Today we're going to be talking about how home inspectors risk their lives every day. Let's get into it. Way number one, home inspectors risk their lives for you. We climb on roofs. Yep, we get on roofs every day. We're going up ladders, we're walking around on roofs, we're walking around on old roofs. Shingle roof that's old and is losing its granular gets really slippery. Or a day like today when it's raining outside and we're having to walk around on a wet, semi-steep roof. It's a little bit dangerous. Now granted, this is a calculated risk that we take as home inspectors, but it should be taken into consideration when you are thinking about picking a home inspector, that most likely in some way that home inspector is actually going to risk his life for you in a calculated way so that you can know whether you're buying a home that is safe for you and for your family. So number one way we risk our lives for our clients, we get on roofs. So here I am on a roof on a rainy day. Yeah. The number two way that we risk our lives for people that we do inspections for is vacant houses. A lot of times we as inspectors are going into houses that have been vacant for long periods of time. Sometimes those properties are in excellent condition, like the one that I'm in today, but sometimes they're in not so good condition and they may have squatters, or there may be all kinds of other nasty situations that we could get into. But the biggest risk with that is the fact that we could come across another human being who does not wish to treat us kindly. And so as inspectors, we have to take measures to make sure that we protect ourselves. One way that I do that is I have a concealed weapons license. So I'm not going to go into a place where I can't protect myself. And that's just a risk we have to take. Realtors also take that risk. In fact, I think realtors, particularly female realtors, make a much bigger risk going and showing properties with people that they may not know or have relationships with, and going into vacant properties or rougher neighborhoods by themselves. So yeah, home inspectors risk their lives in the same way. We go into vacant properties and it can be dangerous. Another way in which inspectors risk their lives is going in attics. We go up in attics where we're having to walk across trusses or beams or whatever we have to walk on. Sometimes there's, a small catwalk, usually the size of a 2x4 or something along those lines, that we're having to walk across and stay safe on in an attic. Most people probably have misconceptions about what it's like to walk in an attic. 9 times out of 10, the only thing under our feet is a truss and sheetrock. And if we miss the truss, or if we lose our balance and fall between a truss, we are going to fall to the floor. In some cases, and in some houses, that could be as much as 10 to 14 feet. At the top of a cathedral ceiling, if I'm walking across that, it could be even higher. And that would not be a good day if I fell out of an attic through the sheetrock and onto the floor from that height. So attics can be a dangerous place, but they can also be a dangerous place for other reasons. And I'm actually going to flip my phone around and show you one of those reasons right now. What you see here is what we call a homeowner special. Now, this one's covered up pretty tight. You can see that they wrapped it in electrical tape, but it is a electrical splice. So what they did is they just spliced actually looks like 3 wires together without using a junction box. And at times, you actually can find these wide open with no wire nuts or anything like that. And that is called a widowmaker. Widowmakers are a lot more common in crawl spaces, but we do find them from time to time in attics. So as inspectors, we really have to be on our guard, making sure we're paying attention to what we touch, what we brush up against, where we step, and because you never know what might be hiding. Well, that is the number 3 way that homeowners risk their lives for their clients. Clearly, our homeowner was a burgeoning electrician. Look at all this lovely electrical work. Wow. This is the kind of stuff that we find when we do home inspections, folks. Every day, all day. Very, very poor electrical work. Another way that inspectors risk their life for you is inspecting electrical panels, like this one and like that one. Every time we open one of those panels, it's a risk to us. Sometimes the panels can be energized, and so we actually check them to make sure that they're not. And there can be hazardous conditions on the inside of them. Sometimes we don't open panels, particularly if there are other kinds of warning signs that show us there might be a problem on the inside. Normally we're going to defer to an electrician, but this panel actually, let's see, that one on that side is a little bit safer to open because it actually has a safety throw, so it allows it to be disengaged in order for us to open it. But the panel over here on this side is always hot unless the meter is pulled, so we got to be really careful when we're inspecting those panels. The distribution panels on the inside of the house, you know, we could throw the breaker out here on the outside to inspect those. A lot of times we don't do that because normally the properties are occupied and people have internet. You never know what they have downloading or uploading, or you just want to be considerate of those kinds of things. It can be detrimental to appliances to throw the breaker. So normally we're not throwing the breaker, we're inspecting everything hot. As long as you're not sticking your fingers or tools in places they shouldn't be, you should be fine. But yeah, it's always a risk when inspectors are inspecting electrical panels. So yeah, that's another way, the 4th way that inspectors risk their lives. Another way in which home inspectors risk their lives is going in crawl spaces. Now, this is probably the most dangerous thing we do as home inspectors, because we could be crawling into raw sewage, open electrical in combination, which is a really dangerous situation. We could be running into snakes, cats, armadillos, raccoons, dogs with puppies, which is not a very good situation. There are any number of things that we could run into in a crawl space. My friends down in South Florida could run into a reticulated python in a crawl space, for goodness sakes. So crawl spaces are definitely, they're definitely the most dangerous situation that we can get into as inspectors. And they probably take the most time as far as evaluation and effort, you know, crawling around on our stomachs, picking our heads up, looking around, rolling over on our backs. And, you know, it's not a pretty job, that's for sure. Mike Rowe probably would have had a good ride along with a home inspector inspecting a bunch of off-grade crawl spaces. So, yeah, that's definitely the most dangerous thing that we do, is going in crawl spaces. And that is 5 ways that home inspectors risk their lives every day that we do our job. So hope you enjoyed that video. Hopefully it gives you a little bit of insight into what we do as inspectors, and we'll see you next time. So I wanted to add a little bit to the end of this video, mainly because I think a lot of people are going to kind of find it funny, maybe even jokish, what I'm talking about in this video. You know, oh, a home inspector risking his life, right? Oh, right. But it's real. There are certain dangers in certain situations that I avoid because I don't want to die and I want to come home to my kids and my family at night. A couple of those situations being extremely steep roofs, very dangerous crawl spaces with low clearance, standing water, wires hanging everywhere. I'm going to avoid those situations because, well, a couple $100 is just not worth putting my life at risk. But I also wanted to say that there are a lot of people in our community and in communities around the country that risk their lives at a much higher level than I will ever risk my life. In fact, their sacrifice and their service to our communities gives me the opportunity to do what I do every day. It gives me the chance to get up and go out into a economy that is working, where people are building houses and buying houses and rehabbing houses, and I get to have a job. And realtors get to make a commission because police officers go out and do their job. Firemen go out and do their job. Paramedics go out and do their job. EMTs do their job. Nurses do their job. Our soldiers. And many of the guys that I work with in the real estate industry are either reservist, active duty, or are former military. And I just wanted to add to the end of this video that, I can't ever say thank you enough for the sacrifices many of you have made, the time with your family, putting your life and limb on the line. Some of you I know have been injured on the job. Some I know never came home. And so, thank you. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for serving our communities and our country and the sacrifices that you make. You make our economy and our lives and our communities a better place.